Okay, my name is Patrickk McDonald, and my research project is going to be going on Jesus, a man, a legend, a myth, or God in the flesh. This is a topic of heavy debate in the secular world. A lot of people want to deny Jesus as the true Messiah and the guy that came down and was God in the flesh. Now, there are four different perspectives that comes within the thought of Jesus. The first one is that Jesus was a man. And what they're relating Jesus to is that of a prophet like Muhammad in the Islam faith, Mohandas Gandhi of the Hindu faith, or like Moses of the Christian and Judaism faiths. Now, the second one is that Jesus is a legend. They believe that Jesus was basically a man, and throughout the years of the story being told, people started exaggerating it and creating Jesus to be like a mythical figure. Now, the third perspective is that Jesus is a myth. They don't think they think the story is completely false. There are no valid facts, sort of like a fairy tale that somebody just came up with this random story and got people to start trying to believe it because it was kind of like an ideal man that came down to the earth and all this stuff. Now, the fourth perspective is that Jesus is God in the flesh. Now, this seems to be the most valid perspective because you have the valid historical facts, which we'll get to in a second. We have the secular evidences, which Tacitus, the historian from first century Rome, he believes that Jesus was God in the flesh. And another guy by the name of Lucian of Samosata, he's a second century Greek writer. He also wrote a lot about Jesus. Another thing that proves the validity of Jesus as God in the flesh is the fulfilling of prophecies. There are over 300 prophecies concerning Jesus that have been already came to pass. They're extremely detailed, and some of the prophecies Jesus couldn't control, such as his birthplace or time of birth. So just with those right there and those being fulfilled, the odds of that happening in real life are slim to none. Now, the validity of the Holy Bible. Right here is a comparison of the New Testament to other ancient writings. As we know, one of the most famous of the writings from the ancient world is of Iliad by Homer. Now, the date that it was written is 800 BC. The earliest copies are right around 400 BC. So that time gap is 400 years. And the number of copies found so far are 643. Now, another guy, as you know, Caesar, he wrote the Gallic Wars. The date it was written was around 100 to 44 BC. The earliest copies are AD 900, which is a time gap of 1,000 years. Now, a number of copies for Caesar is only 10 copies. Now, if we look at the New Testament, the date that it was written was around AD 50 to 100. The earliest copies that were found, the portions, was AD 114. Actual full books was AD 200, and the complete New Testament was found in AD 325. Now, the biggest time gap between that was 225 years, the lowest of all of the ones that I've mentioned earlier. And the number of copies that were found are 5,366. So as you can see, in the secular world, Iliad, the number of copies found were 643 with a time gap of 400 years. And in the New Testament, the number of copies found are 5,366 with a time gap of no more than 225 years. So just with that evidence alone should show the validity of at least the New Testament. I haven't even gotten into the Old Testament. Now, in closing, Jesus was the God in the flesh. The full story is correct and without error. He was born of a virgin, lived on this earth, never committed any sins, performed supernatural miracles, died on the cross, was buried, and resurrected on the third day. And this can be proven without a shadow of a doubt. Thank you.